I think I am a booktuber now. I only have 6 subscribers, but that doesn't matter. Hello people of the internet. I'm back again for another video with terrible lighting because it's a cloudy day today, but I'm doing a little August wrap-up / September to be read because I really enjoy watching these. I think they're really fun to watch, so I thought it would be fun to make. So that's what I'm going to do today. I read like 6.5 books this month, which I'm actually really pretty proud of because I also finished Wuthering in there, and classics usually take me like such a long time. So I'm really happy with how many books I read. I don't really like have a goal for how many books I read each month or each week or anything because reading is my only hobby and I want to keep it as a hobby. I just want it to be fun. The first book I read in the month of August was We Were Liars by Lockhart, and I actually talked about this in my books I read in lockdown video, even though all of these books I read in lockdown because lockdown is never ending. I'm not going to talk too much about this, but my general thoughts about it were pretty good, very engaging, doesn't really live up to the hype it gets. Oh, I've started rating my books on Goodreads now because I figured out how Goodreads works. So I gave this 3.5 stars. The next book I read was Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray, and I also talked about this in my books I read in lockdown video. So again, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but it's the second book in the Definers series, and I've actually finished the whole series now, and this is actually my favorite book of the whole series. Henry and Ling were two of my favorite characters, so I really liked that the whole book was basically about them, and I think their powers were really interesting. I gave this 4 stars. I swear, my cat will not shut up. Regardless. And Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. I loved this so much. I actually wrote a whole review on it in Goodreads, which I'm very proud of because it's the first one I've ever read. No, it's the first review I've written. I gave it 4 stars. So Turtles All the Way Down is basically about a girl called Asa who has OCD, and there's a little bit of a mystery that they go through, but it's really about Asa and her story. I really liked the writing style because it really gave you an insight into Asa's mind and her thought processes. I really liked the way that it subverted a lot of cliches about the storyline and how John Green like set it up to be like, this is gonna be like a mystery, finding yourself type thing, and then immediately went, no, that's not what this story is. This was my second John Green book I read, and so far my favorite. Yay, I thought it was really good. I would definitely recommend Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, and I talked about this in my classics video, which again I'll link, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. My main thoughts were Emily Bronte is superior to Charlotte Bronte. All these people are terrible and you can't really trust anyone, and I think that's what made it really engaging for me to read. Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray, and this is the 3rd book in the Definers series, and again picks up where the last one left off, and they're just facing a lot of the ghosts that have started popping up around New York, as well as there's a lot of things to do with the press, and we get back more into Evie's story, which I don't really like Evie that much, so I wasn't a fan of that. I gave this 3 stars. I didn't like it as much as the second one, which may be because I don't really like Evie that much, though she was growing on me, she is growing on me. One of the problems I think with this novel in the series is that there was so much going on and it was really hard to find a clear plot line that was coming through, and it meant that a lot of things just kind of really got brushed over and there wasn't a lot of time spent on them as I think that there should have been. These books are already quite long and I already feel like a lot of things were being rushed, so I don't know what she could have done there, but it did feel like there was a lot of things crammed in. Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell, and I gave this 3 stars. Maggie O'Farrell, beautiful writer. She's very descriptive, very evoking of nature, and that was really beautiful to read. I didn't really love this though. There was at times when I was like a little bit bored and I well, I didn't really feel like the ending was strong enough. I feel like it kind of was like rushed a little bit and she could have spent a bit more time on it. But I did really like the exploration of what she thought might have happened in this stage in Shakespeare's life. Yeah, I did like it. I think I would read more of Maggie O'Farrell, but I didn't love it and I don't think I would read it again. And then I read King of Crows by Libba Bray, which I actually finished right at the beginning of September, but I'm still going to count it because I started it in August and I finished it before I started filming this. I've now finished the Diviner series. I read the first one like months ago and I finished all 3 during this month. So I have thoughts. Finishes the whole series off. You know, they finally face the King of Crows and all that type of stuff. Project Buffalo. Don't really want to spoil it. So I liked this more than the third one. But again, I still think there's just so much going on and that all the plot points don't really get to be tied up properly as much as I would like. She doesn't really get to go in depth with like all the storylines and all of the characters as much as I think she could have, because it's very rushed. There wasn't a lot of tension that really built up for the ending, so it wasn't as impactful as I think it could have been. I think maybe if it had been split into 2 books, there could have been more build-up towards the ending and more tension developed throughout, which would have made it a bit more impactful. I do think Libba Bray is a good writer though. I really liked in this book and the third one especially when she would write chapters from the points of view of the ghosts and really kind of written like prose or poetry. I also really liked that she really explored American history and lots of the not so shiny things about it, because I don't really know that much about American history. I know a bit, like I know a lot about like the Jim Crow laws and all that type of stuff and the Civil War from Hamilton, but I don't know a lot. So I liked getting to learn about that a bit more. Obviously I didn't do it in school because we do Australian history, not American history. Well, we do a bit about American history, but we don't spend as much time on it as I imagine you would in America. Those are the books I read in August. Yay! And so now my to be read list for September. I want to try and finish this in September, but I probably won't. I've just been reading it throughout the year, which is The Joy of Money by Kate McCallum and Julia Newbould, because I want to know about the money and stuff because I don't know anything. But my dad got me this for Christmas last year. Quite accessible language about financial money things for me who doesn't know anything. So yeah, I'm gonna make my way through it. I've been taking notes as I go so that I can have knowledge. I've already started this. I'm about halfway through. Exciting Times by Naoise Dolan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Jack Edwards and Uncarly both recommended this and said it was similar to Sally Rooney, and I've read both of Sally Rooney's books, so I thought I'll give it a go. I am enjoying it so far. I really like the examination of people and their relationships and communication. I think that's very interesting to read, and I do think it is really similar to Sally Rooney. I think it's more similar to Conversations with Friends, just with the dysfunctional relationships, and I really am enjoying reading about it. Next, I want to read Mr. Impossible by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the second book in the Dreamer trilogy, which is a spin-off of the Raven Boys series, and I read the first one earlier this year, enjoyed it, excited to read this one, excited to see what happens. Then I want to read Memorial by Bryan Washington. I think this, again, a few people on BookTube recommended this. I think I got it from a video made by Uncarly, but I'm excited. Basically, it's about Benson and Mike, who are a couple, and they're having some issues. Through a series of events, it ends up that one of them goes back to visit their dying father, and the other one gets stuck living with the other one's mother who came to visit. I'm very interested to read it. The cover looks really pretty, and if I flick through, the writing seems very much like prose, which I'm excited for. Then next I want to read Eleanor, Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. I think I got this one from BookTube again. I actually get a lot of books from BookTube. I am pretty interested to read this. It seems interesting from what people have said about it. I'll read the blurb. Eleanor Oliphant leads a simple life. She wears the same clothes to work every day, eats the same meal deal for lunch every day, and buys the same 2 bottles of vodka to drink every weekend. Eleanor Oliphant is happy. Nothing is missing from her carefully timetabled existence, except, sometimes, everything. Let's see. Next, I want to read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This one has an afterword by Sally Booman. I always read the introductions and afterwards. I always read the introduction and literary criticism that is in any of the editions I have after I finish the book. And I find that really helpful, actually, just to get a sense of it. But I do prefer to just read them blind. A few people have talked about it, and apparently the language is meant to be a little bit easier because it was written a bit later than lots of the other classics. Murder mystery kind of story about this woman who marries a widow whose ex-wife died, and they find out the mysterious circumstances of her death. That sounds exciting. I'm keen to read it. It's a bit long. I think it's going to take me a while. So I'm not sure if I'll finish it in September, but we'll see how we go. I also want to at least make my way partly through the Selected Poems of Emily Dickinson by James Reeves. I've been wanting to read more poetry. I've been wanting to read some poetry because I don't read poetry. I do enjoy poetry, I just don't actively read it. So I thought I would start with this one because I found it in my bookshelf. I do not remember buying this, but I'm gonna start reading this because I already have it, and then we'll see how I feel and if I move on to other poetry collections. The final book I have planned for September is The Ship of Destiny by Robin Hobb. This is book 3 in the Live Ship Traders, set in Robin Hobb's fictional fantasy universe, and is about the ships that come to life after 3 generations of the same family die on board. And it's about the Vestrit family and what happens to them when their live ship comes to life. And it's very, very fascinating. I really enjoyed where she went with the second book, and I really like how she writes all the different characters and how they're very, very clear in their characterization and in their character voices. And I am excited to see what happens at the end of the trilogy, see how it wraps up. But this book is 900 pages, and it's not big writing either. So I'm a little scared because it's so long. I swear every book of hers just gets longer. I don't think I'm gonna finish this in September, but we're gonna try. We're gonna see what we can do. Those are the books I'm planning to read in September. Don't know if I'm gonna get through all of them, but I'm gonna try my best and see how I go with them. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you feel like it. Leave a comment if you have any thoughts about any of the books I've read or I'm going to read, or any books you think I should read. Bye!